The screen stayed black for a moment longer than it should have, long enough for my reflection to appear faintly on the glass. My face looked older than I remembered, not in years but in weight. The kind that settles in your eyes when you've seen too much of yourself and too little of what you hope to become. I was alone in my apartment, the kind of quiet that hums instead of resting. Outside, Karachi traffic murmured like a restless ocean, horns rising and falling, lives moving past mine without noticing. Inside, the fan rattled softly, pushing warm air across the room. I sat on the edge of the bed with my phone in my hand, the link glowing like a dare. I had received it from an unknown number an hour earlier. No message, just the link. At first, I thought it was spam. I almost deleted it, but something stopped me. Maybe it was the timing. I had just returned from the hospital, my clothes still smelling faintly of disinfectant and grief. Or maybe it was the exhaustion in my bones, the kind that makes you reckless enough to click on things you normally wouldn't. When the video finally loaded, there was no music, no flashy intro. Just a man sitting on a wooden chair in what looked like an empty room. White walls. A single window. Soft daylight. He looked straight into the camera and said my name. I dropped the phone. It hit the floor with a sharp crack, the sound echoing through the room. My heart slammed against my ribs, hard enough to make me dizzy. For a second, I couldn't breathe. I stared at the phone where it lay face up, the screen still lit, the man frozen mid-blink. That's not possible, I told myself. This is not possible. I picked it up with trembling fingers and rewound the video. My thumb felt clumsy, like it didn't belong to me anymore. I pressed play again. My name is Ion, the man said calmly. And if you're watching this, Farhan, it means I'm already gone. The room seemed to tilt. My legs gave out and I sat on the floor, my back against the bed, the phone held close to my face like it might disappear if I let go. Every sound around me faded until all I could hear was his voice and the blood rushing in my ears. He looked to be in his late 30s. Unremarkable in a way that felt intentional. Brown eyes. Light stubble. A small scar near his left eyebrow. He wore a simple gray shirt, sleeves rolled up, as if he had just finished working. I know this is shocking, he continued. You're probably thinking this is some kind of trick, or that someone is playing a cruel joke. I wish that were true. My mouth was dry. My tongue felt thick, useless. I whispered to the empty room, "Who are you?" As if he could hear me, he smiled faintly. Not a happy smile. A tired one. "You don't know me," he said. "But I know you. Or rather, I knew you. Better than anyone else did." My hands tightened around the phone. "I was there the night your father died," Ion said. "I was the one who pulled you out of the car before it caught fire." The air left my lungs in a rush. Images flooded my mind without warning. Twisted metal. The smell of petrol. Flames licking the dark. My father's voice shouting my name, then cutting off abruptly. Hands grabbing my arms, dragging me across the asphalt while I screamed and fought and begged to go back. I had never seen the face of the man who saved me. I had woken up in the hospital days later with bandages on my arms and a hole in my chest that never closed. They told me he died on impact, I whispered, my voice breaking. They told me there was nothing anyone could do. Ion nodded slowly, as if he had heard me through time. That's what they told you, he said. And in a way, it was true. But there's more to that night than you were ever allowed to know. The video cut abruptly to black. No, I said out loud, panic rising. No, no, no. The next part loaded automatically. Ion was standing now, pacing slowly across the room. His movements were careful, deliberate. I've recorded this in pieces, he said. Because there are things you won't be ready to hear all at once. If you're still watching, it means curiosity has already beaten fear. That's good. You'll need that courage. I laughed weakly, a hollow sound that didn't belong to me. Courage. I had spent most of my life running from memories, from questions, from myself. I don't have much time, he went on. And neither do you. Not in the way you think. I flinched. For years, you've blamed yourself for surviving, Ion said gently. You've told yourself that if you were a better son, a braver boy, you could have saved him. That you stole a life that wasn't yours to take. Tears blurred my vision. I wiped my face angrily, embarrassed even though I was alone. You're wrong, he said. You didn't steal anything. But someone else did. The video paused. I stared at the frozen image, my chest rising and falling too fast. The room felt smaller, the walls closing in. My phone buzzed suddenly, making me jump. A new message. Unknown number, are you watching? My fingers hovered over the screen. 100 questions burned inside me, all fighting to be typed first. I settled on the simplest. Me, who are you? The reply came almost instantly. Unknown number, someone who owes you the truth. The video resumed on its own. The accident wasn't an accident, Ion said. It was supposed to look like one. And it worked. For a long time. My heart pounded so hard it hurt. Your father discovered something he shouldn't have, he continued. Something powerful people wanted buried. He refused to let it go. He was stubborn like that. Like you. In the days that followed, my life fractured and reformed. I listened to the recordings. I followed the trails. I met people who had been waiting, quietly, for someone to pick up where my father had fallen. Fear walked beside me every step of the way. But so did something else. Clarity. Resolve. The unknown number sent fewer messages now. Short. Practical. Until one morning, there was just one. Unknown number, this is my last message. I'm proud of you. I stared at the words, my vision blurring. A week later, the story broke. Names fell. Walls cracked. Truth spilled into the open, messy and undeniable. There were threats, of course. Warnings. But there was also support. Strangers who reached out. People who said my father's name with respect instead of pity. Standing on the rooftop one evening, the city stretched out before me, alive and breathing. The wind carried the smell of rain and possibility. For the first time since that night on the road, I felt my chest loosen. I hadn't survived to carry guilt. I had survived to carry the truth. And as the sky darkened and the first lights flickered on below, I whispered into the open air, I'm not done. I shook my head, disbelief mixing with a growing, sickening sense of recognition. My father had been a journalist. Investigative. Relentless. He used to come home late, his eyes sharp with purpose even when his body was exhausted. He knew the risks, Ion said. So did I. We worked together. Off the record. Quietly. I stared at the screen, my mind racing. All the nights my father had whispered on the phone. The strangers who had come and gone. The sudden silences when I entered the room. After his death, they thought it was over, Ion said. They were wrong. I kept copies. Evidence. Names. And I watched you grow up from a distance, carrying a grief you were never meant to carry alone. Why? I whispered. Why didn't you come to me? Ion closed his eyes briefly. Because telling you the truth would have put you in danger, he said. And because I was afraid. I had already lost too much. The video shifted again. Now Ion was sitting at a desk, papers spread out before him. I'm dying, he said quietly. Cancer. Fast. Unforgiving. There's no treatment left to try. My throat tightened painfully. I don't want your pity, he added. I want your promise. He leaned closer to the camera, his gaze intense. I need you to finish what your father started. The words hung heavy in the air. I shook my head, tears streaming freely now. I'm not him, I said. I can't do this. Ion's expression softened. I know you're afraid, he said. You should be. Fear keeps us alive, but it can also keep us small. The video ended. I sat there long after the screen went dark, my mind spinning. The fan continued to rattle. A car alarm wailed somewhere outside, then stopped. Life went on, indifferent to the earthquake inside me. My phone buzzed again. Unknown number, there's a folder hidden in your father's old study. Behind the loose panel near the window. You never found it because you were never meant to. Until now. I swallowed hard. Me, how do I know this isn't a lie? The reply took longer this time. Unknown number, because you'll find a photo of the two of us, taken the day before the accident. Your father insisted. Said memories matter. My hands were shaking so badly I almost dropped the phone again. That night, I didn't sleep. I sat on the floor with my back against the wall, replaying the videos over and over, listening to Ion's voice until it felt familiar, until it felt like it had always been there. At dawn, I went to my childhood home. The house smelled the same. Dust and old books and something warm I couldn't name. I walked through the room slowly, my footsteps echoing. In my father's study, the sunlight fell just as it always had, illuminating the desk where he used to write late into the night. My fingers found the loose panel easily, as if they remembered where it was without my mind's permission. Behind it was a folder. Inside were documents, recordings, names, dates. And a photograph. My father stood on the left, his arm around Ion's shoulder, both of them smiling. Not the polite smile for a camera, but the kind that comes from shared purpose. I sank into the chair and wept, deep, wrenching sobs that felt like they were tearing something loose inside me.